Man, how's it going? Happy Tuesday. Maybe this will work? Man, all kinds of technical difficulties today. I noticed that notifications are a little bit behind. There we go. Hey, how's it going? Man, let me turn this down a little bit. Hey, man, thank you so much. There were some subscribes. I can't even talk today. Subscriptions. People subscribed right before I joined, so thank you. So let me look at that really quick first. Yeah, but I don't know. Things are kind of weird and delayed right now with Twitch. Something's up. Something's up with the internet as a whole, I think. But PC Geek, dude, thank you. 5 months, tier 1. Thank you so much, dude. Let me see. Keep up the great work, Tim. Glad to be part of the community, dude. So glad you're here, for sure. So glad you're here. Yeah, can't say enough good things about you. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Done did it now. I like it. Done did it now. Has subscribed. Prime sub. Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. HomeLab New gifted a tier 1 sub to Oddwest. Thank you. Man, HomeLab, dude, thanks for gifting one to Oddwest. It was interesting because I saw in the little notifications now that it said Prime Gaming. So that looks new. Like I knew, you know, Twitch is switching over, or Amazon switching over. Instead of Twitch Prime, they're calling it Prime Gaming. And I think they're just rebranding a lot of the some of the benefits instead of Twitch Prime, they're calling it Prime Gaming. Obviously for lots of obvious reasons. My lights are on hyper mode back there. I need to keep them like that. I love it. They're like yeah, a quarter of a second off, but man, looks like I planned it, but I didn't. Jeez. But man, real quick, I'll finish my thought because then I'll forget it. Yeah, anyways, it looks like Amazon's starting to make this switch real now. I noticed they've rebranded some stuff to Prime Gaming, and now I think the Prime subs I saw, one of them come through as a Prime Gaming sub. So awesome. Or yeah, Prime Gaming to Amazon Gaming. I don't know, Twitch Gaming something. Anyways, I saw it in the alerts. But anyways, man, thank you so much. The Bull, thanks for the follow. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Welcome. Oh man, I'm gonna have a hard time with this one. XO, I'm gonna go with OET64Ox. Oh man, thank you so much. Prime sub, thank you so much. Appreciate it. If I mispronounce your name, which I probably did, let me know how to pronounce it. I'd love to do it. I'd love to fix it. And the Bull, hey, thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I know. Twitch Prime, that's what I've been calling it forever. But now I think they're calling it Amazon Gaming? Prime Gaming? I don't know. They've already rebanded their site. If you haven't looked at Prime Gaming or whatever they're calling it now, Twitch Prime, the gaming benefits, they released a ton of new games today. And it's something I used to follow really closely, but man, I think this week's games, they released like 6. So I'm like, okay, just click claim on them all. So anyways, man, lots of activity in the beginning. Man, we even had sub hype train. Oh man, thank you guys so much, man, in the intro. Really appreciate it. But how's everybody doing? What are you guys working on? The questions I always ask you guys, how's it going? And what are you working on? Because I'd love to know. But who is in here first? Because that's what you guys want to know. Who is in here first? Actually, now that we have history and stuff, you can actually scroll up and I know who it is. It was PC Geek. So, dude, thanks so much for being here. And again, thanks for resubbing. Really appreciate all you do, man. Appreciate it. Let's see. Stream hype, HomeLab New, man. How's it going? How's everything? Thank you for the continued security alerts and letting me know when I should patch stuff. I did see that Mac OS release that patch now that I think you were waiting on and talking about. I ended up applying it almost, not immediately. I had to finish up some work, but after that I did it. And it actually, like I saw on the list of fixes, there was a core audio fix. But in the core audio fix, it said that they were only addressing, well, the only thing they said that they were addressing, you know, patching for vulnerabilities. But I've had this problem with core audio. So core audio is the audio system in Mac OS. And anytime I would open up the iOS simulator when developing software, it would actually make all of the audio super choppy. So I'd have to, you know, I'd have to task kill it, and then it would start back up and work just fine. But that fix today fixed it. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Things actually seem better. Like I know this one was to address a lot of vulnerabilities, but I think at the same time, I think they included a ton of bug fixes because I haven't seen my Mac, my MacBook that I work on during work time. During the day, perform like it did today, because it was like, man, really? Like everything would just seem to flow. Like even Chrome was only taking up 300 megs of RAM. I'm like, usually it's about 10 gigs by now. So anyways, yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate it. PC Geek, oh man, look at all your emotes, man. Popcorn, emote, 2020 gift, like them. Oddwest, hey yo, how's it going? How are you doing? What are you working on, man? Nice haircut, thanks. Yeah, I've been meaning to cut it. It's been crazy long. And even this up here is long, because I used to just shave my head because it was low maintenance, kind of easy to do. And then I've been wanting to like every I don't know, month or two, I'm just like, let's try something different. Let's try something different. So I asked my wife, it was like 11:30 last night, and asked her. She's like, nope. I was like, please. And I was like, let's just shave up the sides, don't touch anything on top. So that's what I did. That's what I'm going with. It'll kind of all even out. So I was just like, okay, one clip on my face, one clip on my head. Well, she did that part, and then nothing. We'll see. I'm just experimenting. It's kind of cool. I mean, I would go out in public like this. I mean, I'm kind of in public now, live, on Twitch. But at the same time, like, I would walk out in public like this. Like if I was at, if I didn't like it, I would have my hat on. It's right here as a backup. If you guys were like, yo, dude, nice haircut. What did you even do? Then I'd probably put my hat on. But anyways, yeah. PC Geek. Oh yeah, Hype Train, level 1 Hype Train. Thank you guys. I'm definitely gonna for sure share that. Thank you, appreciate it. PC Geek just came back in from the snow blowing. Boy, that snow heavy this time. Whoa, you're getting a lot of snow. Yeah, I know. At least I think it's coming off. I didn't look, but I assume it's coming from the Great Lakes. It's probably a lot of lake effect. I'm just making assumptions because I have family that lives elsewhere in the Midwest on the other side of the lakes, and they're getting tons of snow, and I was just like, yeah, nothing here. It's about to be cold though up here, but yeah, not a ton of snow. We got all our snow like last week, and it came down. It was just powder. It was just like powder. It was pretty easy to shovel. There was a ton of it, but not the heavy stuff. That's probably a lot of lake effect. Yeah, which I used to get a lot of when I lived back near Chicago. It was just like, that Arctic wind would come over the lakes, pick up that moisture and just dump it everywhere, southeast of any of the lakes. So pretty crazy. Don't envy you. Mikey 1SDF. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. How you doing today? Welcome. Oddwest, nice haircut. Oh, I read that. HomeLab new. Music audio sounds more clear this time. All right. I didn't do anything. Not that I'm aware of. Maybe I did something. I don't know. Didn't do anything different this time that I know of. But yeah, thanks for that feedback. PC Geek, at least the snowblower stayed running the whole time. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I don't own a snowblower. One day I might own one. I guess I don't have enough property to blow or shovel. But maybe one day I will. But man, I'm glad it's running for you. But yeah, what are you guys working on? I know it's Tuesday. It's kind of a slow day. Either you're wrapping up stuff you did from the weekend. Maybe you already wrapped it up. You're going to start something new. Maybe you're just not going to work on anything at all. But yeah, super curious to know. I've got a couple things in the pipeline, but nothing. I did a lot of my super hard stuff last week. I think I'm not that any of it's easy, but a little lighter stuff I've been working on, which is pretty nice. Arguably my last thing was lighthearted, but it took a ton of work, ton of prep time. It's like every time I do something, I'm like, next one's gonna be easier. No, it's like everything I did plus more. So yeah, Reese Tech first. No, PC Geek beat you, man. PC Geek beat you. I think you guys got history now, so you can scroll up. Well, I don't know, maybe. I don't know how far up it goes. I know that if I refresh, it's still there, but I don't know how long they persist this stuff. I'm just glad that they do now. Also, yeah, thanks for spending the points and earning them too. Let's see, Reese Tech, or just Reese, that's right, you told me to say Reese. Speccing a server build, nice. What is this server for? What is it? Is it home? Is it work? I assume it's home. And what are your requirements? What is it? What services are you going to run on that server? What workloads are you going to run? Because super curious. And then what are the specs? What specs are you deciding between? HomeLab new, writing some code for my big data course. Nice. Oh man, that is awesome. Yeah, that sounds super interesting, man. Possibly the least efficient regex the world has ever seen. Yeah, it's easy. It's easy to do. I mean, it's easy to do. I say regex. Some people say regex because it's regular expression. I say regex. So if you say regex, I apologize. Yeah, regex is easy to get right and it's easy to get wrong. Well, I mean, I feel like you never really know if regex is really right until you've met every single use case, which is kind of tough. I'm not the greatest at regex. I know it's super performant. So even if you're doing the least efficient regex is still really performant. And I think that's why a lot of people choose it. And sometimes you don't have a choice, right? A lot of firewall rules will just like, give me the regex, or, networking rules too are really big on it. Me, where I get to write like a lot of custom code, I'm just kind of like, I'll just parse this. And it's arguably, it's probably a million times less efficient than just actually writing the regex, but it's a little bit easier for me to understand, and it's a little bit easier for me to write code and write tests and understand what it's doing. When I see regex that are like gigantic, I'm like, I have no idea what that does. I gotta trust Stack Overflow on that one because I just have no clue. Hey, Top Fuel. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. How you doing? But yeah, man, big data course sounds awesome. And then writing some regex. So is it for the same thing? Curious. Is it for the same course? Is it different? Are these just two different streams of work going on? I assume it is for the same thing if you need to parse some data. And if you do need to parse data, man, I would say, I'm not going to say write real code because that would probably start a war. But I'm just saying, yeah, what language are you going to use then? Or are you just using regex and testing it? Reese, congrats on 3K or on 30. Thank you. Yeah, it came and went. I was going to just be like, yay, 30K. And like, that was just like that week that it happened was such a blur. I think it was last week. I don't know. See, it's still such a blur. Then I was like, oh man, it's already 31. Like I'm like, oh man, but I'm super happy it's 31. But I wanted to be like, yes, 30. But I was just so busy. I was just like, okay, I'll wait for 40. If it ever comes. Like I don't, nothing's guaranteed. But thank you, I appreciate it. I think it's I think with like most things in life, it's good to celebrate small milestones and your accomplishments and achievements. And always remember that, like if you have a team or you end up managing people or you're a manager of people, or should be, celebrating accomplishments at some point in time. You should look back and say like, yeah, that worked out well. Glad it happened. Yada, yada, yada. I mean, don't spend too much time on it, but you got to celebrate little victories like that. And I kind of passed it up. So appreciate you bringing it up. Yeah, here's to 40. Let's see. Home PC Geek. It's always DNS. Yeah, I did have some DNS problems. I don't know. I've been having weird problems, and you guys saw it in Discord. I don't know if anyone else had audio issues in Discord. No, it was just me. I mean, I tried to jump in the audio call with you guys, and like nothing worked right to where I had to get on my mobile and data. So I honestly think I have something going on with my UDM Pro. I can't really describe it yet, but I've noticed weird things about WebSockets. I've also noticed weird things about, obviously, Discord, but either something's going on with my ISP or something's up with my UDM Pro, and I've already updated it twice in like the last 2 days. Once was because it was available. The other time is because I was trying to troubleshoot this Discord issue where I can't connect to voice, and it's kind of driving me crazy. I keep hopping in and nothing's happening. But anyways, it's not DNS. Funny though, I will talk about DNS real quick. You guys, a lot of you probably run Pi-hole, and a lot of you probably have a ton of block lists added to your list. I noticed that one of my block lists, someone snuck in a domain that was actually, I don't think should be on there at all. And maybe I need to adjust my list. But I was at work. We use Slack. A lot of people use Slack, right? Good communication tool. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, think of Discord, but for enterprise. And so I was using Slack, and I'm like, I cannot see anyone's images. Like I can't see any images at all. I see the blurred thumbnail, the rendered preview, the blurred out version. I'm like, okay, and I'm clicking on them, I'm like, don't see anything. And then I'm like, okay, try to upload images too, and it wouldn't work. Wow. If you use some of the same block lists that I do, which a lot of people do, they Google like, block list for Pi-hole, and then some website comes up and it's like, here's all the best block lists, and then you just add them all. Well, kind of what I did. And someone added files.slack.com to that list. And that's basically Slack CDN, and you will have all kinds of problems. You will have all kinds of problems. So I'm like, you guys, I can't see any of your images. I can't upload images. I can't do anything. And then they were like, yeah, I can do it fine. And maybe it's Mac. And I'm like, no, it happens on my phone too. And they're like, maybe it's something. Yeah, I don't know. And then, I was like, there's no way in a Pi-hole block list someone adds something from Slack. Sure enough, they did. Anyways, I would probably add that to your allow list if you use Slack, because you will be in a world of pain if that happens. Totally in a world of pain. Files.slack.com. Make sure that's in your allow list for any DNS, or you won't be able to do jack squat. Anyways, I'm totally off on like so many tangents now. I need to reel it in. Chef Lord, hello all. How's it going? How are you, Chef Lord? Good to see you. Reese Tech. Can't see you. There we go. Okay, did I do something wrong? Oh, me? Oh, I'm a little bit behind. I'm catching up though. Yeah, I think I hit so I have this transition in between my scenes, and if I accidentally hit that button twice, it basically triggers the whole thing and cancels the transition. So I'm like stuck in a scene that I don't really use. I can't navigate to. It's kind of weird, but anyways, I need to lay off the button pressing. TD 5150. Good to see everyone. Good to see you too. Reese, congrats on 30K. There it is. No typos in that one. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah, what are you guys working on? What can I help with? I know that there's been a ton of chatter in Discord. I think John is redoing his his Kubernetes cluster for like the third time. I totally appreciate it though, because like I always say, I learn by repeating something over and over and over. And, I'm almost embarrassed to admit how many times I've trashed my Rancher and Kubernetes install just to build it back up. But yeah, I'm super curious. Oddwez, what? Thank you. Yeah, HomeLab New. Yeah, thank you, dude. Just call it Twitch Prime. Twitch Prime is what I've been calling it, but I think they're changing it. They're rebranding it. It's like Prime Gaming or Amazon Gaming, or Amazon Gaming, I think is what it is. I could probably solve this in one Google search, but if I even open a browser during the stream, I'll just get lost. Let's see. Just ET64? ET64? What's ET64? I need to know this. ET64. Just call me ET64. I will call you ET64. Thank you. Didn't get the reference at first. Loved YouTube videos. Been helpful. Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoy them. Let me know if you have any feedback or things you want to see in the future. That's super helpful. You don't have a way to tell me other than here. Just comment on some YouTube video. I usually see them within a couple days. I get to them. HomeLab New, hope you stick around. The community is one of the most useful and fun professional resources I've ever seen. Thank you. All the kind words today. I do appreciate it. Techno Tim, that choppy audio was extremely annoying. My old Mac would downgrade the Bluetooth audio codec when CPU was a bit high. Glad to hear they fixed it. So I will say, let me grab a drink. So maybe I'm giving Apple way too much credit on their core audio fix, or their whole entire suite of fixes that they released today. I know exactly that problem you're talking about, and I have one of the newest MacBook Pros. I mean, I have one of the two they released in last year, maybe it was 2019. I don't remember. So mine's pretty new, and I always had that problem that you're talking about. Like when you start using too much CPU, like Mac OS is just like, it just stops using. Just like Bluetooth. Nope, sorry, not gonna Bluetooth anymore. Oh, USB. Yeah, we're not gonna USB anymore because the CPU's too high. Like it's like the weirdest thing ever. Like, say what you want about Windows, but like I don't remember ever. Like I can peg my CPU like I did last week when I was compiling Darknet. I can, peg all 12 cores at 100%, and I will not lose any of my devices. Like, devices still work. Like, you kind of need them to work, On a MacBook, or Mac OS not so true, as you've seen. And so, you know, I used to wear my, half the reason why I have these headphones now, because I have a wireless pair of headphones and I used to wear them for work. But when when I compile stuff at work, all of a sudden I just lose audio in my Bluetooth headset. And I'm like, this is kind of ridiculous. But it was true. And then sometimes keyboard and mouse just gone, because USB-C decides it's just going to stop working because, you know, CPU is pretty busy. Anyways, so I don't want to give them too much credit. I know that they did fix the choppy audio when you launched the iOS simulator, which was kind of, you know, not a lot of people did. I did because I develop iOS apps too. So I was, you know, as I launched it today, I was like, fantastic. Now I don't have to like run this sudo kill command of this, you know, process, core audio, and have it start all over. Anyways, I'm rambling. I am glad they fixed stuff though, not complaining. This is like a backhanded compliment. Like, you know, super glad they fixed stuff. I hope it fixed all the problems. I'm still, you know, hesitant to wear my Bluetooth headset full time again during the day, because I don't think it is. I hope not. I hope it's fixed, but yeah. Hey, Shuckle Samurai, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. Tier 1, 5 months. Dude, thank you so much. Thanks for the continued support. Man, I love that my lights are like a half a second off, so they're like going on hyper mode, because usually they flash at the same time. It totally looks like I did that on purpose, but I'm actually going to build that in. Because what should happen is they should fire at the same time and then they're going to flash, but I kind of like that. So I don't know. Maybe after the stream tonight, I'll write some code to just put in a small delay before I fire the other one to do that alternating, because yeah, that looks way better. It looks like I planned it, but I didn't, I promise. But anyway, Shuckle Samurai. Resub, 5 months. Thank you so much. Hope it's all well, Tim. It's been a minute since we've been able to watch live. Well, I appreciate it, dude. Thank you so much. And yeah, I appreciate it. Man, coming back and renewing sub and not even being able to watch. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Reese, I get roasted in the Home Lab Discord about my server build, and I get meaningful feedback in your Discord. Huh? Well, hey. Well, hey, it's mostly because, yeah, the people that are in there make this Discord server, yeah, what it is. I've been blabbing a lot about the Discord server, but I'm super excited about it, and I think you guys were talking about it too. I totally agree. Like, people are so helpful in our Discord server, and, you know, I say this a lot, but a lot of people, at first I saw people, you know, spinning up environments to try to reproduce issues to then fix them, which is like, that doesn't happen anywhere, right? Like, people are just like, yeah, I don't know, I've never done it. And that's what was going on, and because people wanted to help, and now it's to the point where a lot of people have already done some of these things. They're like, oh, yep, ran into that. Here's what you do, and yeah, I totally agree. It's super helpful. I mean, I'm a part of the Home Lab. I assume you mean the subreddit Home Labs Discord. I'm in it. I haven't participated a ton in it. There's a ton of people and a ton of content, but no comment there. I just never had a lot of interactions there, but thank you for the compliment, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I really appreciate it. Techno Tim, 2x ESXi servers, 2 Synology 1 local and 1 remote. Wow, that is pretty awesome. So Chef Lord, 2 Synology, 1 local and 1 remote. So then do you synchronize those between the two? I'm assuming you do, because that sounds pretty awesome. That sounds like, hey, I need some of that in my life. I think that's very similar to, I mean, not similar the technology, but the idea between what I think people are wanting to do with TrueNAS is synchronize ZFS between 2 machines and keep an offsite backup that way. I think Tom Lawrence from Lawrence Systems, I think, released a video on that just recently too, which is pretty awesome. I just need a second. I need a second TrueNAS server, which means I need a whole new set of hardware. So I got to figure out a little bit, you know, a reduced version of how I can do that, because man, that's expensive. Anyways, 2 ESXi servers, awesome. Awesome. And then 2 Synology, 1 local remote. Yeah, tell me more about that. Is the 1 remote just 100% backup offsite? Because that sounds awesome. Yeah, and that's where I think, like, you know, when you roll your own, which I did, you know, I rolled my own TrueNAS. I mean, I didn't technically roll my own NAS. I used TrueNAS, but I rolled my own hardware and infrastructure, and, you know, which is totally awesome. But it makes repeating it kind of hard, right? Because I'm like, yeah, you know, I want this disk shelf. I'm going to virtualize this, and, you know, I'm going to put in these drives and put in this RAM and, you know, and I mean, I haven't made it unnecessarily complex, but when you have something off the shelf, like a Synology, you can just go buy another off the shelf Synology, put disks in them. I'm oversimplifying, you know, and then synchronize them through the internet magically. And, you know, to repeat that is just buy another one, which is, to me, it sounds awesome because now you have this template of thing you could buy and you just add more functionality, capability, capacity, whatever. But super awesome. Tell me more about that because I want to know. Autowes, you don't need to remind me. I joined Twitch just to follow this stream. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'll finish up. I've already learned so much through Tim's video. Just hope I can contribute eventually. Hey, you're doing fantastic. Just being here and chatting and commenting and talking about what you're working on is, you know, contribution in itself. Just being part of the community. You know, asking questions or, I mean, it's similar to what I say on GitHub about contributions because, I mean, a lot of people maybe are in a position to contribute to open source software and they're like, I want to contribute, but I don't write code. And, you know, and similar to this, like, you know, you don't have to know or understand how to do the thing because there are lots of things that need to be done, not in our Discord community, but just in open source in general. Maybe I'm going too far with this analogy. But, you know, sometimes just being a part of the community, asking questions, helping with documentation. This is all related to open source, not Discord, of course. But, you know, there's lots of things you can do besides knowing the answer, I guess I should say. But I appreciate, that you're here. And just being here is more than enough for sure. Let's see. Holland New, awesome, yeah. Chef Lord. Video still isn't working for me. I apologize. Hopefully, I mean, I didn't check my video stream. I assume it's kind of going okay, you know? I rarely have to because it usually just works. I see myself and I see my big head. Yeah, so works for me and I hate to say that. But man, you know, if Twitch would just give me some, you know, encoding options, so they could transcode it for you and I could send it at different bit rates and you'd be able to toggle between, you know, whatever, high, medium, low. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Are you on mobile or low speed connection? Sometimes that will cause it. Yeah, I agree. Worst case, open the Twitch stream URL in MPV or VLC. If you're talking about the video stream not working. Interesting. Yeah, that's, if that works, that's pretty awesome. Too bad, you couldn't transcode it yourself and go, but that doesn't make any sense because if your problem is bandwidth, there's nothing to transcode from. The bull, looking sharp, thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, like I said, I got a haircut, shaved, and went crazy with the number one clip in the razor last night. Well, my wife did, but I was like number one, face, hair, everything. But compliments to her. She did a fantastic job. Like before this, she would never cut my hair, and now she's just like, okay, let's do this. I'm like, all right. Let's see here. Choo Choo HL 521A. What's popping? Man, nothing, man. Whole lot of just normal, just Tuesday. You know, man, my watch is blowing up. I'm not used to getting notifications. They like mostly don't work on my watch, but for some reason tonight they just want to work. PC Geek and the East. Yeah, the East is getting slammed. It's called Nor'easter. That's why it's called Nor'easter. Yeah, here they call it Northeast. Home Lab New. Yeah, try opening VLC or MPV. That usually does the trick for me. Nice. I didn't know about that trick. I know that there's other kinds of clients and utilities you can do, but I didn't know you can open the RTSP stream or the URL directly from one of those clients. That's fantastic. Mikey, 1SD. Hello from Kentucky. Hello. Yeah, hello from Minnesota. How's it going? I used to live not near Kentucky, but I used to be a Hoosier for a while. Lived in Indiana, so I was just north of you. I was a Hoosier near Michiana. So a funny thing about Indiana, they like and maybe you know this, Mikey, but in Indiana they like, I don't know if other states do this, but they like name the borders of all of the neighboring states. Like if you live in that area, they like just combine the two states' names and then call that an area. So when I lived in Indiana, you have Michigan and Indiana, so they called it Michiana. And then you had Ohio and Indiana, you know, out to the east, and it was Ohioana. And then you had Kentucky and Indiana, and they called it Kentuckiana. Then you just had Illinois. And they, for some reason, the border with Illinois just didn't get any love. Maybe they do, and I just never figured it out. Illinoisiana, but I don't know. That doesn't sound right. But all the other borders got it. But anyways, long story short, hello. Greetings. Glad you joined in from Kentucky. HL 521, also Techno 10. Have you checked out Proxmox? I like the Czech, like almost like Czechoslovakia. Anyways, almost. I think missing, and no, you have it there. Anyways, have I checked out Proxmox? Yeah, I've checked it out a little bit. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I'm a huge fan. Anyone in here? I think most people in this channel are a fan of Proxmox. I mean, we're a fan of hypervisors in general and just virtualization, you know, as a whole. And so what you choose for your hypervisor really to me doesn't matter. And then, but for me personally, yeah, I use Proxmox, very familiar with it. I've only become familiar with it in the last couple of years. I've done a lot of hypervisors. I don't even know where I started with hypervisors. It was probably VMware Workstation, or maybe it was VirtualBox, or it was maybe something. No, it was like Virtual PC 2007 on Microsoft, I think. I think it was 2007. I think it was called Virtual PC 2007. And yeah, so I've done type 1, type 2 hypervisors, and that's just, you know, where does the, you know, the virtualization occur in the OS, as part of the OS, above the OS, on top of the OS. So yeah, I've done Microsoft virtualization, VMware with ESXi, and yeah, lots of Proxmox. You know, I haven't done any XCPNG. That's the one I hear about all the time. I'd love to check it out at some point, but, and I say this a lot too, but you know, they have something right in their documentation that basically says, you know, hey, we can't support GPU pass-through for NVIDIA. That's totally fine, and it's probably not their fault, but not something I can do until they support that, or even begin to evaluate it. Because it looks like an awesome product. Hopefully, I don't have to refer to that documentation anymore. I'm sure it's something with NVIDIA and not being able to, you know, they have some closed source software that's running and whatever, and Citrix or XCPNG hasn't figured out a way. I shouldn't say that they haven't figured out a way. I'm making a lot of assumptions, but I'm assuming it's something to do with NVIDIA, and once NVIDIA changes or fixes or does away with that thing, then you can pass through an NVIDIA video card to it. And hopefully I don't have to say that anymore. Hey, Clay Crusher, hey, how's it going? Thank you so much. Resub, Prime, 5 months. A lot of 5 months today. Man, thank you so much. 5 months, one month streak. So happy I made the stream today. Yay. Yeah, sudo. Yeah, sudo. Yeah, sudo. I love it. I love it. You got the sudo emo. I love it. And I should say sudo. Like a lot of people say sudo. I almost feel like an outsider now saying, real quick, officer, WZJ. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. You know, I switched over time. So I used to say sudo all the time in my head, because when I saw it, I was like sudo. And then speaking Japanese, you never say do, because that would be a du. So I always saw it as sudo. That's what I said in my head. You know, and in early days of internet, like I had no one to talk about this stuff to, so everything happened inside my head. I even pronounced it in my head. I probably went like 4 years before I even said it out loud, because like it was just me typing the command. I had no one to talk to sudo about, or sudo. And then I had some friends, and then later on in life and enterprise world, I had a group of people who always said sudo, because they were like, you know, it's super user do this thing. And then that's changed over time to switch user and do this thing. And then you know, anyways, long story short, I have said both. I have said sudo actually longer than I've said sudo, but this last company culture from the last couple of years have just said sudo. So I'm just like, okay, I'm going to say sudo too. Anyways, long story short, I'm glad you're subbed. That was a really roundabout way of saying, glad you like my emote and glad you used it, no matter how you pronounce it. But HL521, yes, like Proxmox, love it. I'm a huge fan. Keeps getting better and better. Yeah, I think you'll find a lot of people here use it too, and a lot of people on our Discord. They're just they love it. I think that's our hypervisor of choice in there. Doesn't mean we don't support others, and there are plenty of people who run others. They just don't say it out loud because they're like, seems like the Proxmox crew, but it's really not like that. It's not like that at all. Not one bit. He uses Proxmox all the time. Thanks. Proxmox is amazing. Yeah, I totally agree. Though a couple towers have issues that I need to sort out. Yeah, it's I encourage it. I enjoy it. You know, I won't babble about Proxmox the whole entire time, but you know, it's the first time I got like a lot of these enterprise features that people like, that people that use Hyper-V or people that use ESXi have had for a long time, like vMotion and all these cool things, and clustering and failovers and all this cool stuff. I haven't been able to use because I don't have a license for that stuff. And most people that I've talked to that have licenses for these things either got it from their enterprise where they work, or they attended a virtualization meetup and they're handing out free keys. But you know, I'm not privy to that type of stuff. So anyways, long story short, I really enjoy Proxmox because I get some of those features. I get them, you know, quote unquote for free because it's open source, right? And I know that they have, you know, they have a subscription version and a non-subscription version, but I've been able to do everything I want to do and more, and things I'm not even doing on the non-subscription version. So anyways, I still don't fully understand what I get with the subscription version. I even asked them, like, do you have a cheaper than single developer version? You know, and they were like, no, just no, either buy that one or not. Because their pricing is a big jump, going from, hey, it's me at my house, to, hey, I'm a small business, you know. And they don't have a, hey, I'm a, you know, person at my house who wants to subscribe to Proxmox. They only have a, hey, I'm a small business and, you know, I need licensing for something or support. And that's not really me either. I just, you know, I want to support them, and I wanted to get access to their enterprise updates. Anyways, you don't have to pay them for anything if you don't want. Anyways, I'm babbling. Like, don't want to go into licensing stuff. But yeah, let's see. PC Geek. I don't know if they show history for viewers. Might just be the mods and the broadcaster. Hey, that is news to me. I didn't know that. The nice part is, though, as long as my event list, that's like right over there, is up, then you kind of see it, because that's running as me, I guess I should say. Let me grab a drink. So yeah, and sorry I'm like babbling if you're new to the channel, and I talk about a lot of tech stuff. Hit me with your tech questions, like anything. I'll try to answer it. And if I don't know the answer, I'll probably make something up. No, I won't make something up. If I don't know the answer, I'll find someone who does. That's been my motto for a long time. I learned that from a place I used to work at, and that was their motto, that you should never just say, you know, I don't know, or don't ask me. It's you know, I'll figure it out, or I'll find someone who does. Anyways, I'm going into like enterprise culture and stuff. Shakir, first time here. Just want to say hi. Hey, appreciate you, Shakir. Sorry, just got you to your comment. I'm going through them, and I'll get caught up. I hope you're still here, and I really appreciate you being here. Thank you. Thanks for having the courage to say something too. I appreciate it. Reese. Also, there is no persistent, just accidentally refresh hype about nothing. I promise I wasn't like trolling you, like, yeah, you should totally refresh your browser right now. All the history's still there. I guess not. So I guess PC Geek's right. So they must have just rolled it out for mods and channel owners, which I'm cool with, because I would accidentally refresh the page and then I would just be like caught up on comments because I just lost everything. Now, I think it persists for me and moderators. I guess I should look at the official release notes. I made tons of assumptions there. Reese, I say oh, you see rejects. Regex. Oh man. Yeah, I say, well, I don't even know what I say anymore. I say stuff weird. Sudo, I say Ubuntu too, but again, like, you know, I hear some people say Ubuntu, and Ubuntu is totally fine. But I was like, I remember back in the day when I was doing it, and like, again, like no one I knew was doing it. I couldn't even say the word Ubuntu to anyone. They would be like, bless you. You know, they would have no idea what I was talking about. So I like Googled and looked up like what the word meant, and I think it's a word that comes from Africa, and I was like, how do they pronounce it there? And it was like Ubuntu, and I'm like, okay, that's how I'm going to pronounce it, because at least I can refer and point back to something. And I know people pronounce things anyway, that's totally fine. Even Microsoft released, I think, a funny video recently on how to pronounce Azure. you know, because you hear people say Azure, or you say, I've always said Azure, but you hear, you know, depending on the region and depending on how you've heard it from other people, it was actually pretty funny. It was that, you know, they were kind of making fun of themselves and at the same time just basically saying, call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter how you pronounce it. It's if you use it or not. And that's, you know, how I feel about Ubuntu, about sudo, about, you know, regex. Although I wouldn't want you to use regex, though. Kidding. Totally kidding. Kurookake-san, not doing too much for Home Lab. Work is designing a 25G network with latency capture, so pretty fun stuff. Yeah, see, you're doing the cool stuff at work. That's awesome. That sounds exciting. Yeah, tell me more about that. 25G? That is insane. I'm like, can I get 5G? No, not until I upgrade my phone. 25G, that's pretty interesting. That sounds pretty awesome. And that's cool that you're doing the cool stuff at work, because a lot of the times it's like, you know, you do the cool stuff at home because you're not doing the cool stuff at work. I mean, you know, it kind of goes back and forth, right? At least it has for me. It's like, but I feel like, you know, my last, 5 years, I've done the cool stuff both places. So I've been super happy with what I do, both professionally and personally. But I that's awesome that you're doing the really cool stuff at work. Because for me, it's, you know, over the years prior to what I'm doing now, you know, it ebbed and flows. I'm like, okay, I'm doing the really cool stuff at work, and then, you know, not so much at home, and then vice versa. I would always seek out ways to do the cool stuff, the interesting stuff at home, because I wasn't getting it at work. So awesome. You can't build a 25G network at home, so yeah, it sounds pretty sweet. The Bowl. Thanks for your videos and Proxmox. Appreciate it. Yeah, no problem. Use them to build out my new server. Next up is containers. All right, I love it. Went straight into Proxmox, got virtualization. Now you're like on to containerization. I love it. Here to help if you need help. Answer anything I can. Chef Lord, I just realized that the size is a video stream. I have a very old laptop that I use and I'm connected via wireless to my router. My laptop just doesn't handle to run 1080p 60 source stream. Any chance you could add 720p 30 or 480p 30? Chef Lord, I 100% wish I could. And I won't go too deep into how this works with Twitch, but here's kind of how it works, at least the way I understand it, and they have explained it to me. I think it's documented too. Real quick, after verbal disease, I like it. Verbal disease, dude, thanks so much for the sub. Appreciate it. Thank you. Prime sub, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Awesome. Verbal disease, I like it. I love creative names. All these names are so fantastic. Sometimes I feel weird saying them, but now I'm like, nope, just gonna go with it. Love it. Thank you so much for the sub. Appreciate it. So anyways, asking Chef Lord, you were asking like, can I do, you know, can I give transcoding options? And so Twitch, if you understand transcoding, I don't really. I do some transcoding at home for Plex, but the idea is that you ingest a stream and then you re-encode it into different bit rates and let people choose their bit rate to consume it. And so that takes a lot of processing power, right? It's not free. So Twitch has servers where they're ingesting, transcoding, and shooting out these streams. If you're a partner, you are guaranteed transcodes. So you're guaranteed transcoding time. So every partner basically has a little button where you can click the gear and say 160p, 360p, 430, whatever, and you go all the way up. If you're not a partner, it's not guaranteed and most likely not going to happen. And so there's stuff I can do, right? So maybe I should just drop my stream down to 720p, 30 frames. But usually I just do this, and maybe I should drop it down, lower my bit rate, lower my resolution, so that people don't have issues. I'm just always crossing my fingers, like, yeah, maybe Twitch will give me transcode options, and they do sometimes. It's totally random, but never guaranteed until I get partner, if that ever happens. But yeah, so that's how it works on Twitch. You may not have ever looked into it. I only looked into it because I'm like, how do I get that, gear button to work? And until I'm partner, it's never guaranteed. Anyways, hope that helps. Chef Lord, also I'm on a metered wireless internet link. Anything smaller would be better. Yeah, I hear you. So I'll definitely take that into consideration for my streams going forward. I'll see what I can do. For sure. I appreciate you saying that, because a lot of people just don't say that and they bail and leave. So I appreciate you saying that. So now that I'm hearing it, I'm like, okay, it's no brainer. I should probably do it next time. If you have a smartphone, it would probably perform well. Yeah, smartphones are sometimes more than capable of doing that job or handling that resolution, because there's such high density screens too. But there's things I can do, but I can't give you transcoding options. I wish I could. Thunderbite Net. Ooh, Thunderbite Net. Came here for YouTube videos. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for all your great tutorials and content. Just built my new powerful Unraid server. Nice. Epic, dude. I'm so jealous. An Epic 7282 16 core in your videos helped a lot. Appreciate it. Thank you. And so you're using, yeah, that's awesome. You're using Unraid, something I don't even talk about, but a lot of people ask me about, and I'm semi-familiar with it. We still use my videos to set stuff up. Awesome. And that's, you know, I'm awesome. That's all I got to say. I mean, I've tried to make them somewhat, you know, interchangeable or independent of stuff, and not just say you have to do Proxmox to do this. You know, I try to make them a little less, you know, loose requirements to stuff, more requirements to capabilities versus products. Because I'm a huge fan of use what works for you. And if Unraid's your hypervisor and your NAS and your container platform, heck yeah, use it. So I appreciate it. Thanks for saying that too. Appreciate it. Homeland new for the same course. All right. Yes. All right. So regex against big data. I like it. I like it. Well, I think you're thinking the right way. It's super basic. Basically intro to regex for people that don't have prior exposure. The stack and the rest of the course is Hadoop plus Spark. Nice. Nice. Yeah, man, you're just diving right in. I love it. I love it, man. Pretty soon you're going to be doing Python, man. Python. You should learn some Python. It'd be awesome to do it in Python. They call me Tojo. All right, Tojo. I wonder why they call you Tojo. Whenever I think of Tojo, I think of a general during, I think it was World War I or II. I need to brush up on my Japanese history. Tojo, and he had the famous Tojo turn. Anyways, that's old history stuff that I barely remember from college. Why do they call you Tojo? I want to know. But anyways, have you messed with Multipass by Canonical yet? We started using them for a week coding test. I don't see the benefit over Docker. Sorry. Let me grab a drink real quick. My throat. Oh, that was save me from a huge cough or sneeze or something. So have I used Multipass yet from Canonical? I have not. So you're going to use them next week for a code testing. I don't see the benefit over Docker. You know, to be honest, no, I haven't. I mean, the only if we're talking about container runtimes, you know, I've only used Docker and I think Containerd, and that's only because it was super easy to like switch out the runtime on Kubernetes thing I was doing testing. So I haven't. I don't know enough about it. But it, you know, it's Docker evolves and things like Kubernetes evolve. There's a lot of alternatives are starting to sprout up. So it's super interesting. I haven't done anything with Multipass. I should look into it so I'm more informed on it. But if you don't see the benefit, I might not either. But I think, you know, a lot of people are starting to choose alternatives now because, you know, Docker is really consumer friendly. And then, you know, I've got nothing against it. I use it all the time. I still use Docker runtime for my containers and Kubernetes everywhere. And, you know, a lot of people are saying, well, hey, you know, there's this Containerd thing, the thing that Docker's based on. And, you know, we can run things a little bit lighter and leaner. And not use these shims. Those shims are probably not used by you, but they're used by the tools you use, like Kubernetes. So a lot of people are, yeah, I think once Kubernetes said, hey, you know, we're going to deprecate Docker starting in 1.21, start looking for other runtimes now. Here's some ones we support. I think when they did that, I think that, you know, kind of shed the light on or turned the light bulb on for a lot of people to say, yeah, oh, well, there are Docker alternatives out here? Yeah, there are. Because Docker's based on, I think, Containerd. So, but anyways, I don't know the answer. I should do some more research. I do all this talk about containerization. You know, I've only used 2 different runtimes in Containerd, only a tiny bit. But yeah, let me know what you saw the differences were. And if you're saying you don't see any benefits, yeah, maybe. Reese, here's a tip. Run Pi-hole behind MetLB. It's great. Nice. Reese, so a couple people have done that in our Discord server. You know, personally, I haven't done it yet. I was running a single node instance of Kubernetes for a long time, and my Pi-hole was in there. I've run it as a VM before, and I've run it as just a plain old container. I've run it bare metal. But I haven't run it behind MetLLB, mainly because, sorry, I got an itch. It's a scratch. Mainly because, one, I needed DNS while I did my migration. So I was like, well, I can't put DNS inside of the thing while I need DNS. But now that I have multiple DNS servers, I could. So I want to at some point, that's for sure. Because then I could make it, highly available without having multiple virtual machines with Gravity Sync running. Nothing wrong with Gravity Sync because that helped me synchronize lists and helps me keep the two in sync. But at the same time, I could spin up 4, however many pods of DNS I wanted or Pi-hole I wanted, and then expose that through a reverse proxy. So I can access one of the UIs. Hopefully everything stays in sync, but they should, right? Because you'd have your persistent volumes mounted to the same thing and just have multi-read, multi-write, I think. Sounds right. AutoS, I had the same issue with Slack images. Hey, wipe my entire block list. Oh man, I am behind. But yeah, it took me a long time. It took me most of the day to figure that out, and most of the time it was just because I didn't think it was DNS. I'm like, there's no way. Like my block lists are pretty good. They're pretty lax, and I want to use the internet, but at the same time I want to block bad stuff. So it's always this balance between block everything and block nothing. And so I found a pretty happy medium, but I was super surprised that, some of my trusted block lists that have never led me astray, blockedfiles.slack.com. And then I was just telling everyone at work, I'm like, whew, can't see any images. Can't do, man, I can't, just like, they're probably like, oh, Tim and his crazy infrastructure. It's got to be him. But yeah, it was super interesting. And, I started to think about why. Why would someone add files.slack.com to their block list for the maintainer? And I was thinking, well, maybe the block list was for data leaks, right? And so maybe you consider files.slack.com the place you upload files a point for a data leak. And so maybe they added it to the list because, some people might say, hey, that's a data leak. You're uploading files to some other thing. I mean, similar to how people would block OneDrive, obviously, or OneDrive or Google Drive, you name it, any box, Dropbox, you name it, any remote file service. And obviously they would do a better job than just doing it in DNS. But I was thinking that maybe whoever managed this list thought that it belonged under or got classified that way or should be classified that way. Totally making this up. This is I love speculating on things. Ask my wife. I speculate on everything to the very end, and I'm like, and then I convince myself, yep, that's probably why they did it, but I still don't know. Anyways, I should look at their GitHub repo, open the pull request and be like, okay. And if it says anything about data leaks, nailed it. If not, just me speculating. But anyways, I'm glad it wasn't just me. Los pollos, hermanos. Hey, Big Decimal, how's it going? Good to see you. Mikey, Mikey1SDF. Yes, I believe I saw it. It was called last night. Mauro Monti. Hi, Tim. About to buy my first R620. Do you have any recommendation for racks? Yeah, I got lots of recommendations. So sorry, I'm just getting to your comment. Mauro Monti. So a couple of things. Like I have a list of racks that I looked at prior to buying mine. So with racks, you have a lot of options. You can find a huge 42U one. So let's talk about how you acquire those things. Same way you acquire used servers, search the places the used market for them. If you don't find it, then you kind of try to search the new markets for used versions, and then you just end up buying the new thing. And, there's a lot of considerations when it comes to server racks. I ended up I ended up choosing specifically an 18U one because I didn't want to go too high. And I've already, I want to say refactored because I'm a developer, but I'll say it anyways. I've already refactored my server rack a few times. And so I had bigger, taller servers and refactored and I shouldn't say deprecated either, but I replaced, some of my servers with thinner, smaller ones. Anyways, I've been shuffling my servers a lot since I bought my rack. But I ended up going with the 18U. It's like 4-post, open, totally steel with casters. I would say if you are going to do it and you are going to buy something like that, get casters on them because it's super nice to be able to wheel that thing around. Especially, you know, it's not like I'm just like moving servers all over my basement, just anywhere I want. No. But when I do need to, like, hey, I got to get in between the wall and this thing, you know, I can push it out of the way. It's super nice to have casters on there. But other than that, no, I mean, you kind of got to decide, do you want open frame? Do you want to post? How deep do you want it? And how tall do you want it? I mean, just kind of the basic stuff. And so if you are going to do it, you don't have to use my links, but if you want ideas, I have a gear list down there, which has a bunch of open frame server racks that I think are cool. All of them I considered buying before I settled on mine, which is my 18 post open one. Super glad I did. Yeah, I like that it's open post because I can get in from the sides, from the back, from anywhere. You can attack that thing at any angle, even underneath. I've even put my arm underneath and gone, up underneath to plug in my UPS USB cable. So it's super cool. I like open post. At some point, I would like to add sides and get a better airflow in there. But really, it's kind of up to you. How big do you plan on expanding? And I'm not talking about like, hey, how many servers do you have now? Like, how many servers do you plan on having, next year, in 2 years? Do you plan on putting all your networking equipment in there? Do you put your networking equipment in there now? Do you have a lot of, IoT devices or your modem or a Philips Hue, a hub, or, any of those things that you want to put on a shelf inside of there? And so those are the things you'll just have to consider is what's going to go in there. And sometimes it's not only servers. Like I mentioned shelf, for just random equipment. Networking equipment can go in there too. But some people, use a KVM and put a monitor in there as well. And some people just have a utility drawer. I mean, there's so many things you can do, and it's so flexible. And the cool thing is about those racks too, it doesn't have to just be server stuff. You could put audio gear in there too, or anything really. A lot of things are rack mountable, more than you would think. And there's a lot of tools to help you, do it. And if not, you can always fall back to just a shelf in your rack that you put the thing on. So, I probably made it more confusing, but usually when I rattle off a ton of stuff, it's just, when I do that, and that's my way of saying like, have you considered this? And so there's not a definite answer to which one to choose. I have a lot of things that I had to evaluate before I did it, but those are the things, that's the thought process I went through when I chose mine. And then I also chose just to not grow beyond 18U. And that was a conscious decision. One, because I couldn't get the 20-some U locally used that I wanted, and 18 was the closest to that. And then I just told myself, I'm not gonna grow beyond this. If I do, I'll just buy 2 of them, or I'll just go 42U. So, it's always a moving target. But I think as my things get more efficient and smaller, my rack might get smaller. It might downsize again, even though I just bought the thing like a year ago. But anyways. Great question. Hopefully that answers some of it, because that's just my thought process. Mikey, I have an email from Prime Gaming. All right, they're rebranding it. They've already started to. From Twitch Prime to Prime Gaming. It's super interesting, but they've only partially done it, so still waiting on the rest to happen. Hope I'm new. Reese, this has been my universally experience as well. Nice. Linux is the answer. Yeah, I totally agree. Yes, Linux. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, in my last video, I definitely had to go full Linux, and I was just like, anyways. The thing I was working on would not compile on Windows. It's not a fault of Windows. I don't know. Windows tried to make it work, but I ended up dual booting my thing in Ubuntu, Linux again, like you used to, and compiled first time, and I was like, I miss this. I miss this, anyways, I won't go into detail. Some of that's in that video, but just Windows trying to do Linux stuff is tough, and I appreciate WSL, but it doesn't solve every problem. Sometimes you just got to go full Linux. Shuckle Samurai, hope all is well, Tim. It's been a minute since I've been able to watch live. Thank you. Thanks for being here, man. Appreciate it. Thunderstorm, just got a nice Dell 7810, working on adding it to my ES6i host, so I have some redundancy. Nice. Just waiting on the second CPU to arrive. Awesome. That sounds awesome. Awesome. So glad I made it to the stream. Clay Crusher, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. Shuckle Samurai, switched my Ryzen server to my workstation and got a 710. Nice, I have one too. Just need to figure out the network pass-through. Okay, so switched my Ryzen server to my workstation and got an R710. Just need to figure out the network pass-through. All right, that shouldn't be too difficult. You got it, man. I still have my R710. It's my first real rack mount server. TD515, are you having two ESXi hosts redundancy to each other? I'm using ESXi free for home use. I don't think I can set up redundancy. Just curious how you're setting it up. Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, like all of those features that you want that are enterprise features for home, you can't get them because they're behind a big paywall called a very expensive license. And I'm not knocking people for paying for or charging for the product because they should, otherwise like they would go out of business. But that's, you know, a reason why I'm super happy to go with Proxmox, because you get that stuff. And then I'm, you know, not knocking ESXi because that is one of the most performant hypervisors out there. But, you know, if you use the free version, they limit you to, I think, 4 cores or a total of 4 cores on every virtual machine. And, you know, that might be okay. But, you know, when I run my virtual machines, I want to give it, you know, I basically over provision everything and give everything all cores. Maybe that's not the best thing to do. But I definitely know some of my workloads, you know, would be better with more than 4 cores. Anyways, that's a licensing decision that they chose, and one of the reasons why I just can't run it at home. Oddwest, been trying to set up SSL certs for Bitwarden. Nice. Keep getting a DNS problem. NX domain lookup, a bitwarden.mydomain.com. The DNS is set up on my Pi-hole. Any ideas? So I haven't set up Bitwarden before. But when you're doing a lookup, a bitwarden.mydomain.com DNS, it's set up in my Pi-hole. Any ideas? Well, one, so if you do an NS lookup, well, 2 things. One, does that subdomain exist externally? Because I think it needs to, right? You got to have an A record or a CNAME that goes up to an A record for your Bitwarden domain, right? Because you want to, I assume, self-host your Bitwarden instance, I'm assuming. And you got to make sure you have a public record too, I assume. Otherwise, when you're outside or on your mobile device, it doesn't know how to get back to that instance of your Bitwarden. So there's 2 parts. You're going to need it internally and then, I assume, externally. I haven't set up Bitwarden, but this should just be regular DNS. Take Bitwarden out of it, and you're self-hosting some kind of service internally. And you want to be able to access that service externally as well. And so you have to make sure in public DNS, you know, you have an A record or a CNAME that points to an A record, an alias for an A record. But I shouldn't confuse it. I'll just say you have to have a subdomain set up publicly, and then you have to have one internally. And then depending on what you're using internally, I assume, you said DNS is set up on your Pi-hole, you should be able to just do an NS lookup on anything, NS lookup, whatever, domain.mydomain.com internally, and it should resolve to the internal record. And then outside it should, you know, if you do a dig web or anything like that, do a dig externally, your name server should spit back out, or all the name servers publicly should say, hey, this domain is here and lives here. Hopefully I'm understanding your question correctly. But that was just totally generic. I tried to take the product out of the equation and just answer it generically, because maybe that'll help, or maybe I'm misunderstanding something where the product name does help. Let me know. There we go. You're helping out. Thanks, Helm Lab Noob. Appreciate it. Reese Tech. Reese, just hit the HTTP URL and my MVP works. Nice. Mikey, just across the river. Yeah, all right. That's just across the river. You're talking about Kentucky. All right, Kentuckiana. All right, man. Thunderstorm. Yeah, just across the river. Is it Jefferson River or India? I don't know. My geography is terrible in southern Indiana. I know northern Indiana really well, not southern so much. But it's down there. I don't know. I mean, it's a huge border. Yeah, anyways, rambling about Hoosier life. Thunderstorm. Yes, one in my office and one in the basement. Spin up a new vCenter when my 60-day trial is up. That way I can patch each ESXi host without manually downloading the zip and patching each host. Nice. Yeah, you must have an enterprise license at home or something. Odwes. Thanks. I'll try that out. I need to update the name server on Ubuntu VM, right? To point to your die hole. To point to your pi hole. Yeah. Hopefully pi hole is your DNS for all your clients internally. Hopefully. Texark. Is that a thing, Reese? Texarkana? No way. No way. No way. Yes, knew about Kentuckiana, but didn't know about the others. Yeah, see? Yeah, Indiana had names for all its borders. Michiana, Ohioana, Kentuckiana, and then just Illinois. I prefer architecture of Proxmox over XCP&G. Nice. Yeah, I haven't tried them. Haven't tried them both. Officer, WZJ, your house is pretty. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I put a lot of time into what's behind me. I did. And I purposely chose a lot of stuff over time. It hasn't always looked like this. There was a time where it was just like a futon and me just sitting here, not saying anything with a headset on. It's been a while. It didn't happen overnight, but I appreciate it. A lot of stuff has gone, a lot of time and effort has gone into what goes behind me. And you usually don't think about those things. And when I first started streaming, I didn't think about those things, but I do now. But I will say that you can control the lights in here. So if you're in 1,000 points, it's right at the bottom. Your channel points. If you click that button, you get to choose the color of the theme in the room. And I think after mentioning it, people usually do it because the people I think earn points pretty fast. Not that you have to do it, just letting you know that 1,000 points should be attainable within one stream, I think, depending on the point rate. And then you just, you can change it. I think this is the Hawaii theme. I need to tweak it a little bit. I'm missing some of my orange. My orange isn't coming through. But anyways, Clay Crusher. I got some 1U servers that came from work, but not really sure what to run on them in my home lab just because of the noise. Yeah, there we go. There goes the lights. Let me grab a drink real quick. Yeah, they can be loud. So they can be loud, and it just depends on, it depends on how old they are. And it depends on the fans that are in there, and it depends on the heat. I have 1U servers. They are not loud at all, and they're actually quieter than my R710 was. And R710 isn't that loud, and maybe I'm justifying how loud things are. I mean, I guess it's left to your own opinion. I mean, but my R710, I didn't feel like that was loud. But when I put my R710 in, it was way louder than any PC I had running as a server. And now I have 1U servers that I built, my super micro ones. They're newer, not too loud, definitely not louder than my 710s. But I mean, it just depends on the fans, the RPMs, and the heat. If they are loud, I mean, you don't want it to be annoying. You don't want to annoy your family or yourself, or just have that going in the background. So it's tough. It's tough. I mean, maybe you sell them. Maybe you sell them and look for something else, something with bigger fans. Maybe it's 2U, 4U, get 120 millimeter fans. I've seen some people replace the 1U fans with Noctua fans. Not saying that's what you want to do and put that money into something like that, but I've seen a lot of people mention that on Reddit too, where they do that and it's, significantly quieter. I don't know how much you pay per fan, maybe, $10 or something. There's probably 4-6 fans in 1U, depending on how wide it is or how long it is. And then if they're double stacked or not, but might be an option. VMUG. VMUG is only $200 a year, a steal for $200 a year. I'm teasing you, VTCN. Yeah, so I don't know enough about VMUG or the VMware user group and the license and what you actually get with that. If it's a trial, if it's a full-on license, sounds awesome. But yeah, I've never been privy to that, to VMUG, I guess. I don't know if people pronounce it VMUG. It looks like VMUG to me, and I assume that's the VMware user group. I've never been privy to that, never been in that group, so I'm not entirely sure. But $200 for if you really get a lot of enterprise features. I assume they put a caveat that says like not for production use or not for commercial use on that too. But yeah, it seems like okay. It seems pretty okay. For me, yeah, that's what, 8, 9, 10. I can't do math right now. It's like, I don't know, a little less than $20, $15, $16 a month. for that. But I don't know what you get. But yeah, sounds interesting. John, how's it going? Oh, my internet is being stupid. Yeah, mine was too earlier. How's it going, John? His stream keeps cutting in and out. If I turn the video off, it works. Tim, hey Tim, good to see you, man. All right, yeah. I'm sorry if you're having issues. Clay Crusher, have you ever heard of or tested Corelight or NTOP for network flow data? So I have done a little bit of NTOP before. How do I know about NTOP? Let me think about this. I think Snort uses NTOP, or Snort. I think Snort is used in conjunction with NTOP, I think, to sniff or listen to traffic on your network, and then it will try to classify all of that traffic according to protocol and whatever it's doing, and look at those packets. And I think it uses NTOP. I can't remember. But no, Corelight, no, I have no idea. I'd love to know more about it. Clay Crusher, yeah, tell me more. I assume it's this probably network analytics tool to be able to do, I assume, packet inspection or listen to your own network traffic and see what's going on in your network, see what protocols are being used, see, source destination, like all those things you get when you start sniffing your traffic. Yeah, sounds interesting. Homeland new, what ISP? Just curious. Mikey, I have barely a clue what you guys are chatting about, but I still find it super interesting. Mikey, yeah, I'm glad you're here, man. I'm glad you're here. So glad you're here. And all the way here from Kentucky. Appreciate it. I feel like, man, I feel like, hey, real quick, Trax Sean. I'm going to go with Traction because that's, I don't know. But if it's not, hey, let me know how you pronounce it. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. But Mikey, dude, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here. If you have no idea what we're talking about and you're still here and hanging out, hey, I love it. I love it. Just talking about tech stuff. And so a lot of people talk about, we usually talk about all kinds of tech stuff. So tech stuff in your home. And so when people say home lab, what they usually mean is like if you think about like a computer lab at school, and you had a laboratory full of computers and you can build them up, tear them down, mix them up, mix and match, build networks, build servers, build environments, and tear them down. It's kind of what like a home lab kind of is, except for at home, in your own home. So it's having a server or multiple servers or virtual servers, so servers inside of servers, to build out environments, to build out networking, to do testing, to do exploration, to test a lot of the things that you can't normally do without multiple computers or multiple servers. And then sometimes it's just a generic term for, I have a bunch of servers at my house. So I've used it. It's kind of swayed towards that over time. And it's kind of, a lot of people use it generically for, I have servers at my house, or I have a bunch of computers at my house, or I have a bunch of networking at my house. And that's totally fine too. I've seen it used all over the place. And so that's all we're talking about. And so there's a lot of people who are generally interested in this stuff. I am big time. I love to do it. I've been doing it for a long time. And so there's a lot of people out there too that also feel that way, that sometimes don't have people to talk to it about. And so this is the place where we talk about that kind of stuff. And usually we talk about like what we're working on, what our challenges are, what we'd like to build, and get recommendations from people on what we should do. And it's just a community talking about, a lot of technology, but it's all over the place too. It doesn't always have to be. And so sometimes it goes into, software, and sometimes it goes into hardware, and sometimes it goes into, algorithms. It just depends. I don't know it all. I try to answer what I can. And most of the time it's hard for me to defer to other people on a live stream. But that's where most people will chime in if they know something about the topic too. So I'm not scared to defer stuff because I do not know everything. And hopefully I never seem like I pretend to, because I don't, because there's so much I don't understand. Anyways, so Mikey, glad you're here all the way from Kentucky. That's what we do here. So I appreciate it. Appreciate you speaking up too, man. Really appreciate it. I appreciate you saying like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about, but I'm glad you're here. Anyways, so I appreciate it. Toffland, it works fine for me. And on the other side of the world, I think honestly, I think it has to do with, probably my bit rate. And then, I don't know, like I said, like when I started out this stream, I noticed that Twitch was kind of having, I wouldn't say issues, but I noticed, my live notifications and 2 of my systems were off by minutes, and usually they're within a minute. That was my first clue that something was up with either Twitch notifications or something. I sensed a disturbance in the force at Twitch, and I was like, okay, well, that's not usually right. And then when I saw one of my alerts, the alert didn't say, this is why I brought up Prime Gaming. What is it? Twitch Gaming, Amazon Gaming? Can't even remember now. One of my alerts actually said that someone subscribed with gaming, and I was like, I've never seen that before. But it only happened once. So anyways, I have a feeling like they're testing a rollout of something, and maybe someone went a little too early. Again, me speculating on stuff, but there were too many odd things that happened at once where I was like, okay, this is more than me or you. It seems like I said, I sense a disturbance in the force. We'll see. John, Spectrum, they suck since Charter bought them. Yuck, lol. I don't know anything about Spectrum or Charter. Maybe that's a good thing. What's latency capture? Oh, you guys are troubleshooting this. I love it. I'm seeing 80 millisecond ping, and it's skyrocketing to 800. Need to yell at Spectrum. Yeah, that's huge. That is a ton of latency, depending on who you're pinging. But for anyone, yeah, almost 1 second latency. Internet doesn't get too happy, especially video, and audio doesn't get too happy. I mean, it should build up a buffer and then stream to you, but yeah, it doesn't get happy. Kuroikagi-san, my company is capturing packets on each side of an FPGA to measure the latency through FPGA. That sounds awesome. And sorry, Kuroikagi-san. I always call you Kuroikagi-san, but I know that you're in Japan. So, anyways, verbal disease. Hi, Tim. Nice to meet you. Hey, nice to meet you too. Appreciate it. I'm running Windows Server 2016 at home. Nice. With Ubiquity access points, and I have 600 megabits down. But my app will never download faster than 250 megabits per second. Any ideas? But my AP, my access point. There was a line break there. Ooh, that one's tough. You have to, yeah. I mean, you would have to be on 5 gigahertz because I mean, unless it's like, let me think about this. I don't know the answer to that. I mean, that's tough. I don't know. I know that there's wireless N that can be, both. I think 2.2 gigahertz ish and 5. I don't know the answer to this one. I wish I knew. When I test my access points, so mine, I think the most that I've been able to pull off mine was roughly 250, I think right around the same as you. And I just have the wireless AC Pros. I don't have the Wi-Fi 6 ones. I don't have the super fancy ones, but I have 2 AC Pros. And off my access points, I can get around 250 megabits per second. Could I get more? I probably could, and I should probably test it. And I should probably do this regularly. But I'm only... Yeah, I guess I work permanently wireless on my Mac during the day and then wired on Windows and Linux at night. So I should probably test it on my wireless. The only other thing I can think of is like, what are you testing with? What's the endpoint or the touch point that you're using? I assume you're testing it through a laptop or a desktop. I mean, I'm assuming that has a, decent speed CPU and disk to where, 250 megabits per second isn't too terribly fast for a hard drive to write to. I'm just rattling off things I would kind of check to make sure. But yeah, I don't know. Make sure you're connected, like I think I see something down there. Yeah, make sure you're connected 5G. Oh yeah, and then check your Spectrum. I don't know if this is right or wrong, but Unify added this new AI feature, and I don't know why they call it AI, but they needed the buzzword, I think, in the settings, where they'll go and find bands of networks that aren't used as much, and do that test. I think I have it set for 3 a.m. Basically, it's going to scan all networks for interference, find the least used band to use, and then set all my access points to it. It runs at 3 a.m, so I don't, no one's using the wireless or their microwaves or whatever. else could be disrupted to the wireless network. Most of that stuff's not running, but still, it does that test and it checks. I mean, you might want to just run that quick scan utility that they have built in. If you're on, you're on Ubiquiti. So they have that scanning utility where it'll go out and tell you how much noise and how much interference there is too. I'm just spitballing a ton of stuff to check just in case you haven't, because it doesn't sound like something's right. I don't know. Let me know. Hopefully some of that helps you, I hope, or gives you something else to explore. Because I'm sure you know what you're doing and I'm sure you've explored those, but let me know. Techno Tim, pros and cons, virtualizing, Pfsense, Tofflin. Okay, yeah, this is, good one. Pros. Yeah, because people ask me a lot. Sorry, I say this like once every stream. I have this mint and it just gets plastered in my mouth because I keep talking. But it's so my throat doesn't dry out. But then it gets stuck to my cheek because I don't stop talking. Give me 1 sec. So pros and cons of virtualizing Pfsense. And so for those of you that don't know what Pfsense is, so Pfsense is a network firewall appliance. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, think you have a router in your home that you plug your modem into, and that router is probably your access point too, but that router is your firewall and routes traffic and does tons of stuff. Anyways, Pfsense then is a open source network firewall that you can run on a different server or on a server, or you can virtualize it. So you can run it on a physical hardware or you can virtualize it. I've always chosen to virtualize that. Some people still choose to go bare metal. So I'll call installing it thick or on a real machine bare metal. Sorry, had to preface that just in case you have no idea what I'm talking about. Mikey, looking out for you, man. So anyways, you keep those, most people just install it on a server, they run it that way and it's great. I have a video out there where I do it virtually. The reason why I choose to do it virtually is because I, in the past, have always hopped around. So, 1 week I'm on Untangle, the next week I'm on Pfsense, the next week the new hotness is OpenSense because they have different licensing models, so I want to hop on that. And you name it, I've hopped around. And so it was always easier for me to virtualize it because I can keep the other one running. I could actually spin up the new one as a client in my virtual network in my home lab, and then add clients to that network and test it out before I even make any changes in my infrastructure. So there's the whole, you can plan and do stuff ahead of time without the hardware. And so some of the pros are, like I mentioned, you can set it up ahead of time, you can virtualize it, you can evaluate it. It's not another box that's running 24/7, right? It's not one more thing you have to plug into your UPS and hope that it's running. We'll touch on that on the cons too. And it's easy to back up. You can take, you treat it like a virtual machine. So it's all the same care and feeding for any virtual machine, snapshots, backups, you name it. Easy to move. You get a whole nother server, you just move it to that server. If you have ESXi or vMotion or Proxmox in a cluster, move it to another server. Comes with a caveat though, if you pass through hardware. So all the reasons why. So this is almost why would you virtualize something and why would you not? Until you get to the cons. So the cons there are special cons for Pfsense why you would not want to do this. The biggest one for me is because, and I lived through this for a long time, and I was willing to accept it for a long time. Hey, float on. Thanks for follow, appreciate it. So I was willing to accept this for a long time, but what happens is, the biggest con for me is that when I reboot the server, I would lose internet for the whole entire house. And, to you that might be cool, I'm down for 60 seconds. It's gonna take longer than that if you have a Dell R710 or whatever. Depending on what the host is, it could be seconds to minutes. For me, it was minutes because, my server boots up, my R710 has to check all the RAM, you know how it goes. Some have a longer or extended boot up process than others. But anyways, that's not the point. The point is that when you reboot that thing, you lose all access to the internet. I lived with it for a while, but I couldn't live with it anymore like that. And so, that was one of the cons. Because I have some services here that, they can't go down. I know they will go down at some point, but they shouldn't go down just because I want to reboot the host. You know, if I patch Proxmox, like the patch that came out earlier this week, HomeLab was talking about, you know, the one for sudo, and a whole bunch of other vulnerabilities that were patched. If I have to reboot that box now, I have no internet for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. But I lived with that for a while because I didn't want another physical piece of hardware running 24/7. And for me, you know, when I did do it, it was, you know, this specialized box and this specialized box with its own SSD, or maybe it's installed on a USB drive and has its own special RAM and a different CPU and multiple NICs in there. And so, you know, I got to the point, I mean, but I virtualized my router for like 10 years prior to that. I got to the point where I'm like, why do I have this separate thing all the time? I have like this virtual infrastructure, you know, and so I ended up going with that. So anyways, that's a really long answer to, you know, I virtualized it for all the reasons you virtualize things. That's the pros and all the benefits you get from virtualization, from backups to everything, config to backups to migrations. And the only real con for me was, you know, that I had to, you know, I lose internet when I reboot. The other small con, it's not a con, this is a pro or a con, is, you know, it's nice to have if you don't have enough NICs on the host server. So if you don't have enough network cards, you got to buy another one. And those are easy to come by. I mean, they're super cheap. And so I don't know if that's a pro or con, but you know, I did that so that, you know, my WAN port from my modem goes into there. The LAN doesn't really, you don't even need a LAN. You can do it with a single one, because then you just virtualize the network that it's connected to. And then everyone who's connected to that virtual host network, whoever's connected to that Linux bond or can hear it will end up, or can communicate on it, well, can get a DHCP lease from it and then get internet. Anyways, yeah, good topic. That's kind of everything I can think of. And I've swung both ways. So I'm back now on the separate device, but that's only because I bought my UDM Pro. So maybe I'll be back. Who knows? Maybe I'll be back and virtualizing it all over again. Let's see. Just your channel width. Yes, you guys are all over it. Thank you. And find a free channel. Yes, you guys are all over it. Thank you. Thank you. HomeLab new. Which APs do you have? They have a distinct radiation or radial patterns, yeah, to the physical orientation matters. Thank you. Yeah, I think someone mentioned that to me on my video when I mounted it vertically. I was like, I just need it good enough. But yeah, I would love that people pointed out you could get better reception if you mounted it a particular way. Yeah, awesome. Man, you guys are all over this. Love it. Love it. You guys know so much about networking. Verbal disease. I have one upstairs, one downstairs, 2,000 square foot house, and they are mounted on the wall, high up. I like it. Running a wire from the garage. That's why, not ceiling. HomeLab new. Try the channel width. That's probably the most important factor. Yeah, set up 2 gigahertz to 20 megahertz and use 80 megahertz for your 5 gigahertz. Yeah, so very wide band. Yeah, good call. Throw it away. Techno Tim, when using Docker, do you always need to port forward the ports? Thank you. No. No, you don't always need to. No. So throw away. I hope you're still here. So do you always need to expose your ports, right? So when you spin up a Docker container, sometimes you pass in the P flag for publish. I always say port because it's easier to remember. But you publish a port and then you choose a port on the inside and the outside. So do you always need to do that? No, you don't. If your container doesn't need any incoming traffic, you don't have to do anything. So when would you have a container that doesn't need any incoming traffic? So there's a lot of containers, there are a lot of use cases that do this. So I write a lot of custom code. I even wrote, code for a Discord bot. And in my Discord bot, I don't need to expose the ports on that container, because that Discord bot can reach out to Discord and connect over a WebSocket, right? And open up a WebSocket. So outgoing traffic, totally fine. Just nothing can come in. And so there are tons of use cases for that. That was one kind of contrived one that I could just think of right at the top of my head. But if you think of a lot of other things that run, if you think of any utility that runs on your machine where you just spin up Docker really quick to get access to some executable to do something, probably has no incoming ports. The only time you're going to need incoming ports is when you want to do incoming web traffic. So if you're hosting something in there, which needs incoming traffic to a specific port. But yeah, scanner, you think of all, there are so many, there are probably more things that don't require incoming ports to where you don't have to expose them at all. Because, you know, people build tons of little utilities that just run in Docker containers just so you don't have to spin up the whole entire environment yourself. And so when you do a Docker run exec or Docker run and execute that container, you know, most of the time it doesn't even need access incoming traffic to the container. Hopefully that makes sense. Verbal disease, we'll try. Thanks for your help, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, no problem. PC Geek, I run 2 Pi holes in LXC with Keep Alive D. Nice, yeah, you do. Between them for a single shared IP and gravity sync. If primary go down, the other one immediately takes over with the same IP. Yeah, so awesome. Hi, Lude, how's it going, man? How you doing? John, okay, I think I got it. PC Geek, I'm a spectacular one too. I do the same thing. Speculator, too. I do the same thing. I thought you said spectacular. I'm like, yeah, you are, but you don't need to call yourself spectacular. I'm teasing you. But you are, for sure. John did. Kuroi Kage-san, a suggestion, instead of having a chat live on the video, perhaps the chat on the video perhaps have the chat on the video where you will be reading it from. It would offer a bit more context from where you're reading from. Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. Noted. Kuroi Kage-san. Totemo ii desu ne. Very good. I totally agree. I need to find a better system. I would love, and this, yeah, I want to see if something exists, because I would love, what I would love to do, and maybe this exists, is I want to just go line by chat, and I want to hit the arrow key and just have an animation of it flipping to which one I'm talking about. It's fantastic. I just don't know if that component exists. I would love to. It's a fantastic suggestion. I've seen similar things on the internet, but I think they're all custom built. And so, yeah, good call. And I love it. I love it. Thank you. I appreciate that feedback. I'm glad you said that, because now it'll kind of force me to look at, it'll accelerate my search for it. So I appreciate it. Throwaway. Good idea. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Good idea. Yeah. I totally agree. TD515. I bought a 30U rack for home. No regrets. Plenty of room. All right. 4-post open post, easy access. All right. I'm with you on the 4-pole open post, because 4-pole open post. I totally agree. 30, yeah, I'd probably go with 30. My 18 comes to about my hip. So 30, probably be about to here. I'm pretty tall, so I'm cool with that. It's just when it gets to the ceiling where I'm kind of like, oh, that's, I don't know how much stuff I can put in there. And plus, in my basement, we have pretty low ceilings. So, yeah. All right. Man, this chat has been fantastic. I'm going to look for ones for people who mention me, or where someone says my name. I'm just scanning really fast. And I don't see any. So I'm kind of caught up, and not totally caught up, but I'm caught up to where people have mentioned me. Anyways, that's a lot. Throwaway, I'm here. Perfect. Thanks for the explanation, Tim. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, thanks for changing the lights. This is my favorite one. I won't tell you that, but this is just because the contrast looks good back there, and like all the lines and stuff, and plus my 2 favorite colors. Anyways, I need to make the other ones look like this, but a different theme. Anyways, note to self. Man, thank you guys so much. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Thanks for all your questions. Thank you for the subs, follows, and for your questions, for your feedback, for helping me make the stream better for next time. I totally appreciate it. All the stuff we talked about transcoding. I hope I get those options soon. Maybe there's some stuff I can do in the future. Until then, yeah, the suggestion about changing my chat to having some kind of visual indicator about what question I'm reading now. Yeah, fantastic. I need to find something, and if I have to code it, I will, because I kind of know how to code. I just was hoping there's something I can use before I code it myself, because usually I like to use something else and then figure out what I don't like about it and then write it myself, but we'll see. Appreciate you guys being here. Really appreciate it. Thanks for being here. I will be back on Saturday. Man, you guys are awesome. I probably said thank you a ton, but I do really mean it. Thank you so much. Clay Crusher, do you have a video about writing API to update your IP address and self-hosted DNS record? Clay Crusher, I'll answer real quick because you mentioned me. Kuroikage-san, thank you. Domo, arigatou gozaimashita. I know you don't speak Japanese either, but once you told me you're in Japan, I'm like, this is the one time I get to use it. Anyways, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it. Clay Crusher, I do kind of, sort of. I'll address this real quick. So if you want to do dynamic DNS, this is real quick, and you don't own a domain, you can use DuckDNS. And so DuckDNS will give you a subdomain. So if you want claycrusher.duckdns.org, you go there, it's free, and you sign up. But now it's going to cost you $100 because I'm going to go squat on it and make you pay for it. I'm just kidding. It'll probably be there. So if you want claycrusher.duckdns.org, it's there. It's free. You can use it. And you can buy it from them. Then you can spin up a Docker container to actually update your DNS as your IP address changes. DuckDNS supports a lot of languages, a lot of routers, and even plain old scripts. So if you don't want to use a Docker container, you can use a shell script, a PowerShell script. Your router might support it. All kinds of people support it. So that will keep you up to date so that if you need to find your way home when you're outside, you can use that. So if you're going to use WireGuard and self-host a website, whatever, you can use that. If you already own a DNS name, so you've purchased one, claycrusher.com, I'm going to squat on it. That'll cost you $1,000 because it's top level. I'm kidding. If you've already done that, look. So how do I make this as easy as possible? Some places where you buy your domains also give you ways to update the DNS records dynamically. A lot of them don't. So what I do in that case, if you buy your domain from anyone, I buy mine from whoever, I'll just say Google Domains, whatever. You can actually then have someone like Cloudflare use your, you can tell your domain that your name servers live on Cloudflare. This is what I do. And then you use Cloudflare to actually, Cloudflare has a bunch of utilities. They have an API, you get it for free. And if you use them for DNS, you can use those. So then there are scripts and Docker containers that do the same thing I just talked about that will update your DNS automatically for you with Cloudflare. Even though Cloudflare isn't your registrar, you can use them for DNS. Yeah, API for Cloudflare, absolutely. So then, so if you're gonna go that route and you own your top level domain, all you gotta do is just move your name, point your name servers to Cloudflare and basically say, Cloudflare owns my name server, owns my DNS. You don't have to switch registrars, you don't have to pay a penny. And then once you do that, and your registrar too, nice. I think they're just starting to get in that game too. And you can transfer them there. Anyways, I'll talk about the free, cheap, easy way. So you buy them at wherever. I don't want to name registrars because people get crazy about which ones. Google Domains seems to be pretty neutral. But anyways, I buy mine from Google Domains. I don't buy mine from Cloudflare, but then I tell my Google domain configuration that my name servers are Cloudflare. Then in my Cloudflare config, I basically say, hey, I want API access. You get some tokens and you get some IDs. You save those. And then there's this Docker container. That's what I use. Onzu. I say it wrong every time. Same guy who created the guacamole container. He also creates one for Cloudflare. That's really awesome. And with that container, all you do is plug in your API key and your name and your domain, and you're done. Then you're done. And then you have dynamic DNS top level all day. Going through, a couple of hops there, but totally easy. And if you need an explanation how to do it, ping me in Discord. I'll point you right to the Docker container. And that's what I run. I run all of that in Kubernetes. So anyways, I got to wrap it up. Thanks for asking that question. Hopefully that helps. If it doesn't, ping me Discord, Twitter, whatever, and I'll point you to some docs. So thank you again. Have a good night. I'll see you guys Saturday. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you want to continue the conversation, absolutely join Discord. It's right down there. So I appreciate it. Never break. All right. I like it. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Hey, you guys, I will see you Saturday. Thank you so much. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. Have a good night. And yeah, be good to each other. Take care.